Hey everybody, Kim West on the Gentle Parenting Show. I know you're probably saying, "Hey, how come she's all alone? Where's that interview with another expert she usually does?" Well, I decided I'm going to start doing some podcasts by myself because I want to talk about some really important topics that I know are confusing out there. And today is going to be my first one, and I want to talk about how many sleep training, or what I like to call sleep coaching methods, there really are. So it really upsets me that parents are hearing that there are sometimes 18, or my latest favorite, 30 different sleep training methods. I promise you, there are not. So I want to debunk that in this episode and help you figure out how you could move forward if you are deciding to start sleep training. Okay, so there are in the behavioral modification science world three methods, only three ways to change behavior. Okay, and I'm going to use the examples and apply them to sleep because that's what we're talking about, right? So the first one is extinction. So extinction means that you put your baby in the crib and, after a soothing bedtime routine, awake and aware that they're being put into the crib, and you leave the room and you don't go in until the morning. Okay, with the idea that you are extincting or making the behavior, the baby waking up or crying, go away by not responding to it, right? So, same advice they give us as parents about tantrums: walk away, ignore it, and it will go away. There's some belief that, or you'll see some articles that say that extinction is the most successful method to use with sleep training. And the reason why that is because we, the parent, can't go in and kind of mess it up, right? And start reinforcing their awakenings by patting, rubbing, singing, talking, or feeding, picking up until they go back to sleep. The most popular book, at least in the United States, on extinction is Dr. Weisblatt's book. It is a great seller, and it does work for some children, right? All the methods work for some children. What I really want to make sure all of you know is that one method doesn't work for all children. And I'm even including my own method, the Sleep Lady Shuffle. So please know that it's important that I'm not saying that. Okay, so can you tweak extinction? Not really, right? Because the rule is you either go in or you don't. Okay, so it's sort of pure in that way. I will tell you that a lot of parents will say, "Well, I'm going to do that. It's fast and quick and just like kind of rip off the Band-Aid. And I heard that my baby will sleep through the night." And we've all heard about that baby or babies who cried like 5 minutes, slept through the night, and like a cure-all. So I, of course, have not met these babies because they wouldn't have been calling me in my 25 years as a baby sleep coach, or 27 actually now. Um, uh, but know that I think that there are some of those babies. I don't think it's the vast majority. I think that baby has like a great PR agent, phenomenal one. And I also don't want you as the parent to feel like you did something wrong if you tried it and your baby cried like an hour, or whatever it was that you didn't feel comfortable with, but didn't do that 5-minute thing and it didn't cure in a few nights. Okay. So know that it's not for everybody. It has to be, a right match for you and your baby. But I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Okay. So again, we're going to go back to those three columns. I got to stay focused. I can talk about sleep really for days. So there's extinction. The next method in behavioral science is called graduated extinction. Okay. This is probably 98% of the books out there. In America, it's popularized by Dr. Richard Ferber, and they call it Ferberizing Your Baby. Other areas of the world, they call it controlled crying. I reference it in my book, Time Checks, because I read an article that Dr. Ferber dislikes that his name has been turned into a verb. And I can honor that. And so I call it time checks. So this particular approach, you can really do a lot of tweaks on. Doesn't make it a new method, but you can tweak it for you and your child and family. So graduated extinction is you put your baby into the crib, awaken aware they're being put there after a soothing bedtime routine. That's true for all three methods. And then you leave the room. So here's where you can tweak how often you go in. So some people will say, the first night go in every 5 minutes. Or some people will say, by the way, and then 10 minutes and 15 and then 20 minutes each night. Other people will say increase it within the same night. So the first wakening, 5 minutes, the second wakening, 10 minutes, right? Or 7 minutes. It really doesn't matter, the minutes, right? So you can tweak the number of minutes that you go in. I've even heard of some methods or coaches where they say, if your baby cries, whatever it is, 5 minutes, and you're doing 10-minute check, and then they're quiet, then the clock starts again, right? So that it could be a long period of time before you go in. Another way you could tweak graduated extinction is, what do you do when you go into the room? So do you pick up to calm? Do you not pick up? Do you touch? Do you talk or sing or hum or shush? Right? So you can see you really can modify that graduated extinction. So some parents will say, I'm going to do that, Kim, and I'm going to do graduated extinction. I can't handle the full extinction idea. And so we'll let you know how it goes. And then before we go, what's the magic number? Should I do 5-minute checks, 10-minute checks? And I always say, there's no magic. Sorry. The minutes are just to control you, the parent, right? From going in and reinforcing the waking. So do what you feel comfortable with and know that you can tweak it and change it. It's like if you say 10 minutes and you want to go in at 7 minutes, okay, go in at 7 minutes. What's important is what you do when you go in, right? Are you like patting them to sleep or doing something to get them to go to sleep? And so then you can be potentially training them to cry. So always think about that. It's about what you do when you go in. The other thing that I think is important about graduated extinction, if you decide to start there and your child cries too much and you feel uncomfortable, or maybe you and your partner are arguing over like, this is worse than I thought, I want to go in, and the other one saying, no, don't go in, you'll ruin it, right? And it will cause you to be inconsistent, right? So if you feel like you don't want to give up, because that's always an option. You can always give up, let it go for a few nights, a few weeks until you're ready. Or you could say, I'm going to go in, I'm going to pick up and calm my baby, I'm going to put them back down, and then I'm going to stay next to them and go a little bit more gentler. Maybe it's for me, maybe it's for my child, maybe it's for both of us. It's okay, right? So it's not about so much the method, it's about what you do when you go into the room and what you can follow through with consistently. But again, I'm going to talk more about that again at the end. But I think it's so important for parents not to feel like, oh, I have to pick whatever's the magic, because there's no magic, right? All right, so extinction, graduated extinction, and now parental fading. So strict behavioralists will say, no, you should be calling that fading, Kim. I'm just going to tweak the name because there is bedtime fading, which is a technique we can use at bedtime, but it is not a sleep training method. So I'm going to call it parental fading. So that idea is that you put the baby into the crib, awake and aware after a soothing bedtime routine, and then you stay. Now, what you do when you stay can be mildly tweaked. So there's the baby whisperer, and she comes under this column, and that's, pick up, put down in her method. Carp has a wake to sleep, put the baby down asleep, and kind of, jiggle or, pat the chest to awaken the baby enough for them to be aware, and then pat them back to sleep. um, there's my method, the Sleep Lady Shuffle, where you stay and you offer physical and verbal reassurance. You do less and less as you move away, with the idea that the child is incorporating the skill of putting themselves to sleep and back to sleep independently with our reassurance in the process. Elizabeth Pantley, the No Cry Sleep Solution, she's sort of like the shuffle, only more gradual. And so, like, this big overarching. So again, about 98% of the sleep coaching / training books are graduated extinction, that middle column. So when you hear about a new book that comes out, you're like, oh, this is going to be the magical method. This is different. They may be touting it like that. Just go to the part of the book right after you put your baby into the crib. What do you do? Right? And that's how you'll know which of the 3 columns. Okay, so now that probably makes sense, hopefully. Then you may say, well, I don't know which one to do. How do I know which one is the right one? So most families will say to me, maybe because I have a gentle method, I can't do extinction, right? But by the way, if you did extinction and it worked and it didn't take, weeks, then great, right? But let's say you had another child, and this one has a different temperament than that other one, and when you tried it, it didn't work. So again, my rule is go gentler, then maybe move to graduated extinction. If that's not feeling comfortable and good for you, go to more parental fading. And then let's say either you and your partner are kind of fighting over which one to do, or you're just not sure. Because what I always say is pick the method that is the right match for your temperament, your child's temperament, and what you can follow through with consistently. Okay. So let's say you guys talked about that and you said, we still don't know, Kim. We're just not sure. We feel like we're kind of getting to know our baby and we're too exhausted. And I don't know. What do you think? Right. So I almost always say, then start gradual. You can always move faster, right? If you're sitting in the room and after a few nights, you're like, you know what? I think my baby's got this. Or you sit in the room and you say, I don't feel comfortable sitting in the room. A lot of people misconstrue or misunderstand that they think, oh, the baby's upset that I'm in the room. No, usually the baby's upset because you've changed the routine, right? And you've put them in a wake, and they don't know how to put themselves to sleep independently. So a lot of parents feel uncomfortable with sitting there. So if it's not for you, it's increasing your anxiety. You're finding it hard to not intervene more. And sitting on your hands isn't helping, as an example, and you're patting too much, then either maybe get the other parent to come in or leave the room and do time checks. Okay. So please know, I really want you to hear this, that it's not about picking the magical method. Okay. It's about picking what is the right match for your child's temperament, your parenting philosophies and beliefs, and what you can follow through with consistently. Okay? And know that it's okay to change. And if you are doing one of the 3 methods and you see no progress in 3 and for sure in 5 nights, then I would encourage you to stop. And the first thing I would have you do is go to your pediatrician, make sure that you have ruled out an underlying medical condition. I'm more of a proponent of getting the green light before you start. But if you haven't done that, now's the time to go do that. And then you might decide to take a little break, and pick a different method, or maybe even consider hiring a sleep coach to help you through the process, help you figure out what maybe you need to do a little differently this time, or maybe it's waiting until your child is ready, because there are no strict rules about it must be when your baby's this weight or this age, right? It really is about your entire family. So I hope this clears things up about how many sleep coaching methods there are, and how to choose one that's right for you, and how to customize one of the methods so that it best matches you and your child and your family. Okay, thank you for joining me on this episode.